So, we need to talk about Jeremy.
The Jeremy Kyle Show is a British reality TV show which began airing in 2005. Hosted by the titular Jeremy Kyle, or as he prefers to be called, Jezza, the show would invite in guests who had issues in their personal lives and would attempt to resolve them in front of a studio audience.
The show garnered a lot of controversy leading up to its cancellation in May 2019, with a multitude of court cases against it, accusing it of provoking brutal acts of violence and even suicide. Jezza, of course, denies all responsibility for this, touting the show's Aftercare programme as some of the best in TV.
I'm not saying we claim to change everyone's life who comes on this show, but we do some good. For many of our guests who come on the show, they are thinking, today's the day I'm going to turn it all around.
Jezza talks about the show like it's some kind of public service, while the others are far less complimentary, with one judge describing the show as human bear baiting. So why was the Jeremy Kyle Show so harmful? Well, to understand that, we first have to understand chavs.
The word chav is a pejorative for usually antisocial lower-class people, with many negative associations, most notably idleness.
Lee Bock's Little Book of Chavs describes chavs as the burgeoning peasant underclass, identifiable by their attitude and their clothes. Chavs want money, and lots of it, but don't want to have to work for it. In his 2011 book, Chavs, Owen Jones made the argument for how the word chavs is used to demonise the working class and incite anger against them, describing the chav stereotype as good-for-nothing scroungers with no morals, no compassion, no sense of responsibility, and are incapable of feeling love or guilt. The word scrounger is perhaps the most damaging part of the chav stereotype. The idea that these people have no want to better themselves and expect everything handed to them on a silver platter. So, what does Jezza have to say on all of this?
I get angry when people don't help themselves. I think that the welfare state was the greatest invention, but it was supposed to help people who can't help themselves, not help people who are taking advantage. I will sit here until I am blue in the face and say that if you have 5 kids by 5 different women with no intention of ever working, then you are taking the piss out of a man and woman who have 2 kids and struggle to make ends meet.
Stats collected in 2017 show that only 1% of social security payment goes towards unemployment.
The guests on the Jeremy Kyle Show are textbook chavs, rude, entitled and lazy, and this portrayal is used to blame them for their own poverty. Rather than addressing the systemic issues behind unemployment or drug abuse, on the Jeremy Kyle Show the responsibility always lies with the guests.
And Jeremy Kyle isn't the only TV show to do this.
For example, shows like Oprah and Dr. Phil. The guests come on with a diverse range of issues and are all told they're caused by their own personal flaws.
This is known as the myth of meritocracy, the flawed belief that one's success is determined entirely by their character. And because Jezza never actually solves their real problem, he ends up making either no impact, or making their lives much worse because of the spotlight. Don't get me wrong, the aftercare the show pays for isn't useless, but charity, especially charity provided by a tabloid reality TV show, makes them getting the support they need entirely reliant on the show having their best interests at heart, which, I mean...
We were told to Google therapists where they lived, with no regard for reputation or expertise. The show would pay for 4 sessions and that was it.
It's tragic, but not surprising to me that what finally got the Jeremy Kyle Show suspended was a suicide.
In May 2019, 7 days after appearing on the Jeremy Kyle Show, Steve Diamond ended his own life. The studio was fully aware of his previous struggles with depression. The day after filming, Steve told his son that he'd been made out to be the baddie, and that Jeremy Kyle was constantly on him. He felt embarrassed and made to feel like nothing.
Whether or not the Jeremy Kyle Show had an agenda in its portrayal of poor people, the evidence is there to show that they did view their lives as disposable for the sake of entertainment. So next time you find yourself laughing at someone on a reality TV show, remind yourself that you are a lot closer to being a chav than you ever are to being Jeremy Kyle.
Ouch! Oh. The Jeremy Kyle Show, sponsored by FoxyBingo.com.